welcome to a very special show. Wade, what is this special show about?
Greatest romantic comedies of all time.
Oh. Now, why do we feel it is necessary to even have this show?
I don't know.
It's necessary because romantic comedies today suck.
They're terrible.
Horrible.
They're the worst.
No, they're awful.
They really are the worst.
Yeah, and they
Why
come
are
out,
they so
and
bad?
we get one, an average of one every other week.
It's, you know
They
what?
used to not be so formulaic, right?
No, they used to be.
Which we'll
They
touch
used to.
upon in this episode.
We will. They are all incredibly formulaic. You can find there are sort of like 4 or 5 different templates, and they just punch them out regularly.
You know what the problem is that with romantic comedies today, well, first of all, Katherine Heigl and Kristen Bell, that's the first two things. But also, you know, compared to the movies we'll talk about today, there's no sparkle and there's no charm in them.
No.
You know, they're formulaic. They've got a couple of these big set pieces and a couple of snarky little insults, and then there's a big hug at the end, and that's it. That's a romantic comedy.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, and it's funny, you know, I'll give something away. James L. Brooks is not in our list.
No.
But he's really one of the last guys. I mean, his last movie, How Do You Know, was dreadful, but he's one of the last guys who really did great romantic comedies.
Yes, he did.
You know, and you just don't get that level of writing anymore.
True.
You know, I don't know whether it's because the studios feel that why should we spend all this money for top-tier talent when it's not going to work?
I think it's more basic than that. I think it's because to do a great romantic comedy, you need to put character ahead of formula. And they're afraid of anything that's different. They want something that looks like something that was done before. So they're doing remakes and adaptations, and they bleed the soul out of all these things. I mean, the last really, really great romantic comedy I saw was a French film. It was Heartbreaker. And it was great because it did all the things that you normally expect of a great romantic comedy, but when it got to that point where an American film would go here, it went over here, in this really poignant place that no studio would ever approve because it's kind of untested. But it made it a really rewarding film. I guarantee you it's going to get remade as an American film. They're going to screw that ending up, and it's just going to stink.
I'll say also, before we get to the list, because the film I'm going to mention didn't make the list of the top 10 of all time, but it's probably the best American, I guess, romantic comedy I've seen is Notting Hill.
Yeah.
And I like Notting Hill. I mean, it's not the 10 best, but
pretty great.
But it's probably the last one where you're like, you know what, Roger Michell, that guy, he can write.
Yep.
And
but
it's good
Richard Curtis.
And Richard Curtis.
Richard Curtis, the man, the myth,
Richard
the legend.
Curtis. What did I say? Roger Michell.
No, you said Roger Michell
really?
directed it, but Richard Curtis wrote it. Yeah.
I mean, those guys. That's great stuff. And
Love Actually too.
Love Actually is good too. So I mean, there's you know, it's what is Notting Hill? That's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's just gone completely formulaic. It's all just Drek.
Yep.
You know, now the 10 films we're going to mention, they're better than Drek.
Oh, yes, they are.
They're the best ever.
Yes.
All right, Wade, why don't you start us off?
We are going to start off by going all the way back to the great screwball comedy era with Bringing Up Baby. Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, directed by Howard Hawks. Bringing Up Baby, of course, is just wonderful. Cary Grant, and it's very similar to another one that I'm going to mention here, but Cary Grant, nerdy, nebbishy, nails it. It's hard to kind of imagine him sometimes as being uncool, but he nails it. He's incredibly uncool. He's building a brontosaurus. He needs Katharine Hepburn's help, and he needs her money. And you know what? It's so fun. It's so well written. It moves so quickly, which modern romantic comedies don't. I mean, this thing is crisp. It just rolls, and you enjoy every single second of it. There's not a single moment of this film that is dull, that is not making you yearn for the next moment. It's a great movie. You
know, Katharine Hepburn at the time, she was not a romantic comedy type of comedian.
No.
You know, and from what I understand, she was a little trepidatious to do this thing because she's just not that kind of an actress.
Yeah.
Now, of course, later on, she'd star in a lot of films that are like that, which we'll talk about later, which maybe one of them made my list. So don't say it, Wade.
I won't.
Giving it away.
She's sort of all over this list, but anyway.
She really is.
We are doing the Wade number 5, Mark number 5, because you guys didn't agree on any of them.
No.
So if you're confused why that we all...
Well, and we love each other's 5, pretty much.
It's Wade 5, Mark 5, Wade 4, Mark 4.
Yeah.
What do you mean we loved each other's 5 pretty much?
I don't think Mark...
Did you not like it? Did you not like one
I think there are a couple of mine that you don't like, but we'll see.
That's not true.
Call them out when you don't like what it is.
Okay.
Of course, yeah, whatever.
Right on.
All right,
Bringing Up Baby. Come on, Howard Hawks.
No, you know what? Howard Hawks, he had a very varied career.
Yeah.
You know, and this is one of his best films, and it's just terrific.
Yep.
So Wade's number 5 is Bringing Up Baby. My number 5 is When Harry Met Sally. And this is from 1989. This is directed by Rob Reiner, written by Nora Ephron. And if you haven't seen this film, it is just terrific. It's about these two characters, Harry and Sally, who run into each other periodically over the course of like 12 years, but never quite get together until maybe at the end. And what I like about this movie so much is that even when you take away the laughs, and we're talking Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby, there's a lot of great actors in here. When you take away the laughs, it really is a great modern look at romance when it comes to breaking up and being the rebound relationship and how people divorce. The film is sort of based on Rob Reiner's divorce. The film came from Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron talking about Reiner's divorce, and that was sort of the genesis of the whole film. So there's a lot of truth to it if you really do want to strip away all the humor. And the humor, of course, is what makes it so memorable. It's great. I don't care about this stupid wagon wheel coffee table.
Yeah.
Come on, Wade, the wagon wheel coffee table.
It's great.
You love it.
I love it. I love the movie. I think it's a terrific film.
It's a terrific movie. You know what? And it's a great movie because, again, what they set up in terms of the modern take on relationships, it really is. All that stuff really does. It translates to 2011. It's still right there.
So many films try to imitate When Harry Met Sally. It is sort of the archetype for what they try to do now repeatedly, and nobody ever does it right. And part of the reason is because I think they're casting it wrong. They're going for, you know, Matthew McConaughey as the guy and Katherine Heigl as the girl.
Josh Duhamel.
Or Josh Duhamel. And, you know, look, Billy Crystal. I mean, why? Because he was the right guy. He's the right actor. Not because he's hunky. He's not. Not even close. But he's the right guy. He's the right character. He's the right personality to sell it. And it's about two people who just can't find the right timing to make the relationship work. It's all about that timing thing. And it's the only movie that's ever been able to convey that in any kind of realistic way. And
it's also beautifully shot, which,
yeah, it is.
You know, people kind of knocked the film for looking and feeling like some sort of nouveau Woody Allen type look at New York.
Yeah.
But I think that that's not true. It was gorgeously shot, and it still totally holds up as a comedy.
Yep, I agree.
So that is my number 5, When Harry Met Sally. Wade, go.
My number 4 is The Lady Eve, Preston Sturges, another classic black and white kind of screwball comedy with this time Henry Fonda and Barbara Stanwyck. Now, the dynamic here is a little bit similar to Bringing Up Baby. Henry Fonda is really not Mr. Cool, and Barbara Stanwyck is the aggressor in the film, which is what makes it kind of nice. For a change, you have a kind of a gender reversal. They meet on a boat. She's a con woman. He's just a rich guy who likes snakes and was, you know, looking at snakes in the Amazon. None of this really matters. It's about the chase. It's about the relationships, the rhythm of the dialogue, the staging of the scenes. Preston Sturges is one of the great American filmmakers of all time. Amazing writer, brilliant director, and the film is just an absolute joy to watch. Making a double feature with Bringing Up Baby.
You know, I love this movie. I love Preston Sturges. You know, the thing with Sturges is that he was one of the first, if not the first, writers who became a director.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, back then, especially in the studio system, you were a writer or you were a director. That's it.
Yeah.
There were no writer-directors. Preston Sturges, it can be argued, and I think this holds up, was pretty much the first.
Yeah.
And he did so many great films, and that's a guy who knew dialogue. He knew plot complications. His stuff is just so bright and fun and smart. And The Lady Eve is just right up there. It's a great film.
Terrific.
I mean, really, there's no Preston Sturges film that fails.
No, they're all great.
So that's your number 4?
That's my number 4.
Wade, let me tell you what my number 4 is.
Hit me.
My number 4 is the 1982 comedy Arthur.
Awesome.
Now, Arthur, Dudley Moore plays a drunken playboy millionaire who will inherit $750 million if he marries a woman he doesn't love. Or he can inherit nothing and marry the woman he does love, played by Liza Minnelli, who is essentially a penniless Queen's waitress. And this was the only film directed by Steve Gordon, who died of heart failure a year after the film came out. And Dudley Moore was up for an Oscar for it, and it actually won an Oscar for Best Original Song, which we were singing before the show started, which we will not paint right now. But I'm telling you, this movie, not only is it a terrific romance, but it is one of the funniest films, I'm telling you, ever made. It is brilliant. It is sparkling dialogue, biting dialogue. Dudley Moore just dives into this thing. This movie is so quotable. There are so many great quotes in this movie, and it is so funny. And if you guys have not seen Arthur, you must see it. John Gielgud won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, is playing Dudley Moore's butler.
Yeah.
And I just love this movie to death. It is just a great, funny movie.
You know, his death was so tragic because it came right at the beginning of what was going to be an incredibly brilliant career. You just knew, you just thought, oh, I can't wait to see what this guy does next. I can't wait to see what the next story is, what the next, what actors he works with next, And it was, it's one of those, I mean, there's a handful of those throughout film history, these great filmmakers who just never really get out of one or two films and then they die, and it's so sad.
And what's great about this screenplay is that when you look at a character like Arthur, he is essentially manufactured to say funny lines because he's drunk and he's trying to be the life of the party. So built into that character is somebody who would say funny things, but somehow it's still grounded in character. Arthur is not just this guy who is manufactured artificially to say funny things.
Yeah.
This is who this guy is. And the thing is that all those laughs hide who he really is inside. Probably one of the only serious lines in the movie is a great line where he says, not everybody who drinks is a poet. Sometimes people drink because they're not poets.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's one of like the only serious lines in the film, but it sort of justifies all this other stuff. And John Gielgud is so funny because he's like this sarcastic butler who has grown up watching this kid never grow up and just become this idiotic drunk.
Let me ask you a question.
Great. And by the way, it's being remade horribly, I guarantee you.
Oh, no.
With Russell Brand in the Dudley Moore role and Helen Mirren in the John Gielgud role.
Let me ask you a question. Where's the rest of this moose?
You must have hated that moose.
Forget about the moose.
This movie's so funny. Come on, guys. Seriously, just buy it. Buy, rent, or burn, buy it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my number 16. That's my number 4.
You're number 4.
Okay, what?
You were funny, we laughed.
Oh, that's great. All right, moving into our number 3s. My number 3, I'm going black and white again. Adam's Rib, the incredible George Cukor directed film. You can pick almost any Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn movie, and it would deservedly wind up on this. You can make a whole list of just nothing but Tracy Hepburn films. I think this is their best. It was written by Ruth Gordon, yes, that Ruth Gordon, and Garson Kanin, and it's basically about two attorneys who wind up against each other in a case of a woman who is accused of shooting her husband. And Judy Holliday is the woman, and of course Katharine Hepburn represents her, and Spencer Tracy represents her husband, and it's about the battle of the sexes in the courtroom, and it's incredibly well done. It's incredibly funny, witty, snappy. Spencer Tracy has never, ever been better or more enjoyable, and there again, there's a guy like Billy Crystal. Not good looking, not a hunk, but he's there because he's the right guy. He's got the right rhythm, the right character, the right personality, the right delivery. The film is just an absolute joy. George Cukor's second best film.
Is his first best coming up?
Might be.
Is it Gone with the Wind?
He didn't do Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
He did like a day or two on Wizard of Oz, I think.
Yes, he uncredited.
Yes. Everybody did part of Wizard of Oz. They did. It's like everyone had a shot.
No, this is Adam's Rib is just great. And what's funny is that, obviously Hepburn and Tracy had a long-running relationship, although I'm really wondering, well, here's the thing with the Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn. I'm just saying, do you think Spencer Tracy was gay or not?
Hell no.
Say it on the show.
No.
That's been the rumor, the persistent rumor for years.
But Kate always denied it, and she would know.
But Kate, I think that Kate was protecting him.
Do you really?
I do.
That's interesting.
He was protecting him from this show. Because she knew that 20 years after she died, there'd be a thing called the internet and a website called Ustream, and we would out him. And she wanted to protect him from that.
Yeah,
and I understand
that was
that. Good for you, Kate. Good for you.
All right.
I'm sure this has to do with anything.
It doesn't.
It has nothing to do with nothing.
Mark, how about your number 3?
No, let's keep moving.
My number 3 is The Philadelphia Story from 1940, which directed by George Cukor. Is that his number 1 best film?
I think it's his 3rd, but I like Philadelphia Story.
Fine. This is Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn and Jimmy Stewart. The film...
Hepburn's all over our show today.
It's true.
That woman, we just can't get rid of her.
Cary Grant is basically blackmailed into attending the wedding of his ex-wife, played by Katharine Hepburn, with these two gossip reporters who want to get the scoop on the nuptials.
Yes.
And what's interesting about the film is not only does it have a great script and all that sparkling dialogue that we talk about, but there's a funny little thing about it, which is that around this time, you know, the production code kicked in around 1934. I mean, it really kicked in.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia Story was in 1940. And, you know, according to the production code, you could not dramatize an extramarital affair.
No.
Would not let you do that. However, Philadelphia Story really
found a way
around the idea that you cannot actually have, because, you know, the Breen office would not.
No.
They would not allow you to make a script, to film a script.
Yeah.
That was all about an extramarital affair. Somehow they found a sophisticated and clever way to do that, and that's a little piece of history that would mean something to us, because the production code is thankfully long gone, and we don't even realize the strictures that a lot of these filmmakers were under for, like, you know, 34 to 68, let's say.
Yep.
For 34 years, every film made domestically had to have its script approved by a government office.
True.
And here you've got the Philadelphia Story. That was one of the early films to find a way around those strictures, and it's interesting stuff. But above and beyond that, the film is just terrific.
It's great. I agree. It's a fantastic film. It is beautifully acted by three of the greatest stars of all time. And if you want to know why they are great stars, just watch this movie. I mean, it's effortless. It's like just a cool breeze of acting talent that just blows across the screen. It's wonderful. And
you know what? And by the way, this is back when, you know, films like this were really written. They were written within an inch of their life. There is so much dialogue and so much complication. You've really got to keep up.
But it's fast, and that's what they did well. It moved. All of these films, Philadelphia Story, Adam's Rib, Lady Eve, Bringing Up Baby, and even the more recent stuff like Arthur and When Harry Met Sally, they move at a pace that you don't find anymore. People sit down and they talk, and, you know, it's just on and on and on and on, and it never kind of gets to the point. I mean, by the time you've had, you know, 2 scenes in a modern romantic comedy, you've gone through 5 or 6 scenes in some of these films.
It's true, you know, and I really wish that that there was that snappy pace. You know, like I remember when we saw When in Rome, which is one of the worst films of 2010. At the end, over the end credits, they had that dancing scene where all the main players they lined up on a stage and danced. I mean, that's basically that's what passes for energy in a romantic comedy in 2010. So my number 3 is the Philadelphia Story. Wade, we're on to your number 2.
My number 2. Little bit of a disagreement here, by the way, with people in the room. Everyone sort of felt that I was cheating with my choice of this. They said, how could you possibly pick The Sound of Music? It's a musical. It's not a romantic comedy.
Best joke that Wade's ever told. So what's your real number 2?
That's my number 2.
Wow.
That's my number 2.
All right.
Sound of Music. Because it's a romantic comedy. I don't care if it has songs. It's a romantic comedy. Musicals, yes, they have music, but they are other genres too. And Sound of Music, if you take the songs out, it is every bit as tight a romantic comedy as all the others that we've talked about. I obviously don't need to introduce this to anybody. The famous Rodgers and Hammerstein musical turned into a brilliant Oscar-winning film by Robert Wise in 1965. Unbelievably entertaining. It's a perennial classic. Everyone loves it. Everyone laughs. Everyone swoons. But you haven't really seen this film until you've seen it projected in 70 millimeter. It's a whole different experience. So if it ever comes to your town in 70, don't miss it. It's worth every penny. There we go.
Mark?
It's a stretch, Wade.
It's not a stretch.
Romantic comedy.
It's romantic. It's funny. It's got songs.
I cannot draw a line that connects Sound of Music with Harry Met Sally.
I can.
Or Arthur.
Okay, go ahead.
I can.
Go. 6 degrees. Go 6 degrees of separation. See?
Nothing.
Point proven. Wade has talked himself into a rhetorical corner. He cannot win. Sound of Music, not a romantic comedy. Wade is disqualified. I win the copy of the whole game.
It's a romantic. If Wade says romantic comedy, he explained why he feels
it is. It's comedic. It just happens to have songs. That doesn't.
So you're saying a musical does not have to just be in a musical genre?
No.
All right.
No, of course not. Look, Alien is a horror film, but it's also a science fiction film.
But Sound of Music's not funny.
Oh,
it's not like funny.
Oh my gosh, it's hysterical funny. Are you kidding me? When the nuns are pulling the junk out of the car.
And who's falling in love with who? There's no there's not a female lead and a male lead that you root for them to be in love.
Of course you do.
Yeah, whatever.
It's the whole point of the film.
I know.
The Gutbuster.
It's a Gutbuster. All right, you know what, Wade? No one cares about your number 2. It's lame.
Thank you.
So my number 2, however, is the anti-lame.
Okay, let's hear it.
My number 2 is the 1977 Best Picture winner, Annie Hall, which got jumped on the graphic. You went to the graphic too soon.
Oh, that is, in fact, a romantic comedy.
That is romantic comedy.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Romantic comedy.
Yes,
That's
it is.
probably
It
what
also-
every romantic comedy should be based on.
It also beat Star Wars.
It beat Star Wars in 1977, as well it should. It's, if you don't know what Annie Hall is, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, it's obviously Woody Allen plays Alvy Singer, a New York comedian who attempts to have a relationship with the neurotic Annie Hall, played by Diane Keaton, who won an Oscar for it. And this was a real turning point film for Woody Allen, because before that, he had done, you know, Take the Money and Run and Love and Death and all these amazing comedies that were totally out there and off the wall and crazy, anything goes. But now this was where he starts to kind of turn a little bit, you know, and do the more serious comedy, the comedy that's really based in character.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, Gordon Willis, who shot it, you know, Gordon Willis was a real influence on Woody because he shot this film. And, you know, at the time, Woody was directing films with a lot of cuts, you know, dialogue scenes, comedy scenes, you're cutting from one character to the next. What Willis had Woody do is just sort of let the camera sit. There doesn't have to be a cut every 4 seconds. You can wait for... Why is Mike clapping? Did I say something good?
No, yes, because that's absolutely true.
Yes.
I can't stand when all the cuts and everything. The camera is another actor, and I love, like, I think you're talking about when they're on the bench and it just sits there and they're kind of observing. The camera should observe. So yes, I was applauding that.
Yes.
Please.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Make
Gordon
movies
Willis.
do that again.
Well,
for
it's
God's
look,
sakes.
actors you get great performances from actors when they get to act with other actors. And if you cut it too much, you're cutting up performance. You know, there's something really great when actors get together and magic happens in a moment. You want to capture that moment. You don't want to splice that moment up too much. And too many movies today, they kill that moment with cutting.
And Gordon Willis, and Woody Allen, he will credit Gordon Willis with teaching him that.
Yep.
You know, and that's just and there's so much great dialogue and so many great situations. And, you know, Annie Hall is just an all-time classic.
I agree.
I love that film.
Okay.
I agree.
That's my number 2.
And before, now it's Wade's number 1, right?
Wait, let's should we recap?
Do a little quick recap. Although we don't have a card for it. No, we don't have a card for it. Do the recap at the end. What I'm going to ask, though, first is I'm going to ask the chat room, what do you think Wade's number 1 is? And then you'll say yes or no.
Okay.
7-Year Itch, says Matthias.
No.
All right.
Maybe it's mine.
Well, yeah, you can
Nobody
nod.
cares what a mine
We're going to do
is.
yours next. Calm down.
You can't tell either way.
Body Heat, says Matthias. I guess.
Yeah, that's a hoot.
I spit on your
riot.
grave, number 1.
How about
your
this
grave.
one? Ludovica, right? Ludovica. Why do I never pronounce that? Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, no. I love Something Like It Hot, but no, that's not it.
It's a good one. How about Sid and Nancy?
Yeah, ain't that funny?
That's a barrel of laughs, isn't
Boy,
it?
that's...
And then Levster kept saying over and over again, 500 Days of Summer.
Actually, no, although I truly do love that film, but it calls itself an anti-romantic comedy, so I'm obligated to sort of
make up
accept
for
that.
your number 2 by giving us the most amazing number 1. Wait, Corey has something.
Can I guess?
Corey's
Yes.
going to guess.
South Pacific.
Oh, hell.
I love South Pacific.
Make up for your
I
horrible
love
number
South
2. I
Pacific.
mean, your
You know
judgment
what?
call. You can do whatever you want. With number 1, which is going to way below number 2, Wade, what is it?
Yeah, it's another musical.
Oh.
Thank you. It's My Fair Lady,
Really?
which is absolutely hilarious. Now, here's the thing. My Fair Lady, Mark, put it down. Down. Here's the thing. I'm going to defend this musical thing because My Fair Lady, of course, is the musicalized version of George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion, which is a romantic comedy. If you've seen Pygmalion, even the black and white film Pygmalion, which was directed and starred by and starred Leslie Howard and edited by David Lean, good little bit of trivia, that is a romantic comedy. Put songs in it, it does not cease to be a romantic comedy. That being said, Rex Harrison, Audrey Hepburn, unbelievable. Great film.
It's a great film. I did not consider it as a romantic comedy.
It's funny.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'll give
It's
you.
awfully funny.
I will give you My Fair Lady being a romantic comedy over Sound of Music.
Well, thank you.
I'm not sure that satisfies you.
George Cukor.
But I'm just
best
saying.
film. That's our third George Cukor film.
That is true. You know what
Yeah.
that means?
He wins.
He
wins the door prize?
He does. He wins the copy of the home game.
There we go.
That's what he wins. No, My Fair Lady is just delightful. And by the
awesome.
way, My Fair Lady is like 3 hours long.
It is.
And yet you never feel it.
Not for
at
a
all.
second.
No.
The
Not
chat
for a
room
second.
seems to agree a little bit more on this. A lot of yes and a lot of who cares.
All right.
You definitely separate them, but not so much as the other one, which is like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we throw some other just quick little ones that didn't make the list out there?
That you want to throw out?
Yeah.
Okay, what are some of your 15 that
Well,
didn't?
wait, I got
All
one.
right,
Don't
finish.
make
You do your number one. Do your
Because
number
what
one.
if yours is mine and mine is yours?
Let
Then
me-
my number one
Fine.
is blown.
Fine.
Don't give it out yet. Well, nobody really is a guess. They don't care about yours, I guess, Mark.
Can I guess?
Corey can guess, and let's see if anybody else. How about his Girl Friday?
awfully good.
No, but it's awfully
Says
good.
Levster.
Nope,
Yeah.
Sleepless
Lester.
in Seattle says made for movies.
You know what? I'm not the hugest. It's
really.
fine. It's fine. But there are other Nora Ephron films I
Corey
like.
has a guess.
Huh?
Corey has a guess.
What?
South Pacific?
South Pacific.
Yes.
Corey's favorites. All right. What is your number one as opposed to Wade's number one for romantic comedy of all time, which has to be one of my favorites, I'm guessing?
Okay. By the way, mine is a real movie, unlike Wade's. Can I just say that? Mine is
It is
the
good, though.
mine is the 1934 Best Picture Oscar winner. It Happened One Night.
Yes.
It's not one of my favorites at all.
Now, It Happened One Night is directed by Frank Capra and starring Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert.
Yep.
And she plays a socialite on a road trip to reunite with her husband. And on the way, she meets Clark Gable, who plays a roguish reporter. And this was the first film to win all 5 major Oscars. It won picture, director, actor,
Screenplay,
actress,
actor,
and
actor,
screenplay.
yep.
And that didn't happen again until Cuckoo's Nest.
True.
And then it didn't happen again after that until Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
So there's only been 3 films.
That have swept those 5.
And the first one, and the best one,
Yep.
is It Happened One Night. And this film is just great. I think a lot of people will probably know it from the scene where they're trying to hitch a ride, and Claudette Colbert. At first, Clark Gable thinks, nobody can thumb a ride like I can. So he steps out on the road, tries to hitch a ride, and all the cars are passing him by. And then Claudette Colbert says, you know what? Let me do it. So Claudette Colbert walks onto the road, and she lifts up her skirt and shows some leg, which, by the way, this is 1934, folks. The year that the production code came out, or was really enforced. She lifts up her leg, and, of course, the car stopped. And what's funny is that, actually, Claudette Colbert did not want to do that scene. She thought that showing her leg was unladylike. So now there's an apocryphal story, don't know if this is true or not, but I'll say it anyway, is that it was in the script. Colbert didn't want to do it. And so Capra said, you know what, fine, don't do it. I'll get your body double to do it. So the body double does it, right? And Claudette Colbert sees that the scene is actually working with the body double.
Yeah.
So you know what Claudette Colbert says? You know what, get rid of her, I'm going to do it.
There you go.
So the body double got thrown away, and Claudette Colbert wound up doing
I
it.
just love Claudette Colbert.
Isn't she great?
She's fabulous.
Yeah, it's funny because actually Capra. It's funny because when you read about the film, it's just so funny because like Clark Gable and Colbert, they didn't even like the script. Literally, when the film was done, Claudette Colbert says to a friend of hers, "I just wrapped the worst film I've ever done," because she just didn't like it because you just don't know. You know, and the film is just great. It is, and again, folks, don't forget this is 1934.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is it holds up in your investment in the characters. It holds up in just the way it feels and the brightness of it and the way it looks and the laughs in it and just wanting to see those two get together, which really is the hallmark of any romantic comedy. You're just begging for those two stars to get together. You just want to see it.
Yep.
And really, that's what you get here. And I think it's my number one of all time. That's
There
what
you
I
go. It's a good film.
There
it's a
it
great
is.
Film. Terrific.
Now what?
Much better than I Spit on Your Grave.
Greatest films of all time have ever. Let's see the card.
Now let's recap it. Let's recap.
Oh yeah, do the recap.
Let's
That's a good
recap
idea.
it. Come
Do
on,
a recap
Wade.
card. Yes.
We have a
Corey took the
recap. Look at that.
time. There you
Whoa!
Oh, Corey, you're the man.
Too many colors.
Why is the naked baby next to me and the kissy lips next to Mark?
Actually, a last-minute change.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh, wait, you swapped them?
Yep.
Because it looks to me like the baby and my name are, I don't know, I don't like what part of the baby my name begins with.
I'll tell you why. The reason is because I believe the baby was going to go into the Stupid for Movies logo in the bottom left. Whereas the lips are sort of shaped like that and will clear the Stupid for Movies logo. The baby's not.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that's not. What was that?
Wow.
That's not what
I love that movie too.
What happened?
So now here's the thing. So there you go.
Recap it. Go ahead.
So Wade, read your 5 crappy movies.
My 5 crappy movies.
It's not crappy. It's a romantic.
They're romantic comedies. Bringing Up Baby, The Lady Eve, Adam's Rib, The Sound of Music, and My Fair Lady.
And mine are, as I lean over, When Harry Met Sally, Arthur, The Philadelphia Story, Annie Hall, and It Happened One Night.
Pretty good.
Now, what's the buy, rent, or burn situation? Do people
Well,
want to know?
hold on. Wait, first of all, what were ones that you thought, because I have one that is completely missing that I think you're horrendously wrong that's not in there.
There's a whole bunch
Which
of
I will bring up, and I brought it up before on the show, and I don't care.
There were a bunch.
The number one, I'm going to say mine first.
Go ahead, do it.
Because I'm so pissed.
Okay.
The number one romantic comedy ever in the history of romantic comedies,
Titanic?
Harold and Maude. Harold and Maude is not up there, and you people should be ashamed of yourself.
I could only put one Ruth Gordon movie in, so I put in the one that she wrote as opposed to the one where she's sleeping with a young dude. And I'm sorry, it just it's funny comedy, yes, romantic. It gives me the willies.
It's just
That's ridiculous.
Gives me the willies.
That's the whole point of why it's such a great movie.
You know,
it's this mismatched, and yet they still fall in love, but he's got his
Don't look at me. I like the movie. Just I didn't think it was as good. Okay, you know what? I'll make you happy. It was number 6. Does that make you happy?
But he's disagreeing. It's romantic. You really?
I think it's a funny
You
film.
have the Sound
but
of Music, and you're questioning Harold and Maude.
You know what?
As a romantic comedy.
Let me put it this way. I don't look at Harold and Maude and go, "Oh man, that makes me feel so." No, I'm creeped out.
All right. Well, then you're wrong.
Okay.
And you should be ashamed of yourself for being creeped out.
You know what? I can't imagine. Call me shallow, but I can't imagine myself.
That's why it's so well written. That's why it's such a brilliant movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they were able to pull that
Hal
off.
Ashby was one of my favorite directors of all time. Hal Ashby.
Yeah. Terrific.
All right.
I'm
So.
ashamed. All right. So what are the ones that you guys have that kind of
stuff that almost made my list, but didn't. Down with Love, which is basically kind of a parody satire of all of those old Rock Hudson, Doris Day films. Down with Love, terrific film. If you haven't seen it, it is really, really fun. Muriel's Wedding, Ball of Fire, Tootsie, Some Like It Hot, Little Shop Around the Corner, which of course was remade as In the Good Old Summertime, and You've Got Mail, and My Best Friend's Wedding by Australian P.J. Hogan, who also did Muriel's Wedding. So those were others that I was orbiting.
You know, I was right there between Arthur and Tootsie. Arthur, Tootsie,
Tootsie's so
Arthur.
good.
Tootsie's great. It's so great.
Oh,
What
so
a great
good.
movie that is.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned Muriel's Wedding, which is also terrific.
Yeah.
You know, those are all great films. By the way, at least rent them all.
Yeah.
And we've
If
got a
not,
couple
buy
from the
them
chat
all.
room.
Oh, let's hear it.
Sean Things and Rami Alam, who says he's from Egypt. He's in Egypt right now, watching the show.
Wow, that's a nice place to be.
And I think it's
I'm
real,
glad-
right? You've been checking the chat room. He's actually in Egypt right now.
Wow.
Well,
Watching the show in Egypt.
Stay safe there, buddy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Both say High Fidelity, which I kind of agree with. That is a great movie.
You know, High
Yeah.
Fidelity is a good
It's a-
film.
it's a good film.
That's a good call.
Are we doing buy? Is this a buy?
No. They're just mentioning other ones that you guys may have missed.
Okay.
that You guys agree
That's
with.
a good call.
I like that film a lot.
Elaine Ewing insists on The Apartment.
Oh, totally.
Sure.
I know,
The
right?
best picture, the Billy
Yeah.
Wilder best picture of 1960.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
You know, Shirley MacLaine,
Down
Jack
with
Lemmon.
Love, says Levster.
Yep, Down with Love.
As opposed to Down by Law.
I love Down with Love. I really do.
And Levster also says Roman Holiday.
I like Roman Holiday a lot. I really do. That's a terrific film.
Comedy? It's
That-
light.
Kind of not. It's
It's
light.
light.
It's light, but I would not call that a comedy.
Yeah.
And a couple
I
more.
do.
Furry Bender, 500 Days, which you talked about. Sleep with
Yeah.
Seattle, we talked about While You Were Sleeping, and Definitely Maybe.
Definitely, maybe. Oh yeah, yeah.
But you're going to stick with yours. You feel good. You
Yeah.
feel
Oh
confident.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Whenever you have, look, whenever a critic is asked to do, this is a book critic, movie critic, music critic, doesn't matter. Whenever you're asked to do a top 10 of anything, it's easy to just blithely say, oh look, okay, the 1 through 10. But if you really sit down and think about it, you can really tear your hair out.
Yeah.
Because really, it's like Tootsie Arthur, you know, Muriel's Wedding or whatever. You know, it's like it really becomes a bit agonizing, and there's always going to be something that is left off the list by definition.
Yeah.
Because we can only pick 10.
So that was the best movies of all
There we go.
That was the best romantic comedies of all time. There it is, ever. Fantastic. All right. By the way, here's something else that I love. The best crew in the history of the internet. Come on, you got the Corey, you got the Rooney, you got the Emily. Everybody's here. You got the Jimmy's here, Elaine's here, Travis here,
And
and
we've
Mike.
got a
He does
logo.
nothing.
They'll have shirts with like a logo soon. We'll get like polo
Oh,
stuff
that'd be
because we
nice.
also live stream, you know, outside of this place. We have another business going on.
Nice.
And then we'll all matching shirts and everybody's all happy. It's all great.
Now here's the part. Here's what I
right.
don't love. The part where Mike just plugs all of his crap. Go, Mike. Start plugging.
I'm trying to make the crew money. Sorry.
They had pizza. That's fine.
You didn't buy it. You want to start buying it? That's great.
Yeah,
I'll stop plugging. You buy, I'll stop plugging. How's that?
That's not gonna happen.
All right.
All right, guys. Anyway, what?
It's time for
It's time for
Pirate of Bird.
Pirates of Bird.
Wow.
All right, go. Here it is.
It's become like an aviary here all of a sudden.
Three, 2, 1, roll.
All right, here I am over here. I've got this list.
All right.
This list you guys have never seen. It was in a sealed envelope, all kind of Johnny Carson stuff that I'm going to talk about. And we got off Dig. So now we're going on Dig. If you go to dig.com/stupidformovies, these all come off Dig, and we're the most dug ones is what we pick.
Got it.
I dig it.
With 14 digs from R2 Doo-Doo. Yeah, that's his name. Corey laughs.
Corey doesn't laugh at anything, by the way. Corey's a tough room.
These are all buy or burn romantic comedies. You guys will tell us if we should buy it, rent it, or burn it. Bride of Chucky.
Oh, jeez.
Awesome.
Really?
Awesome.
Really?
That's number one with
come on, it's romantic
digs.
and it's funny. It's unintentionally funny and it's romantic. I'm going to say rent it.
Ooh, sure, why not?
So burn.
Oh,
no.
You just like the original Chucky, not the remix.
No, watch the Twilight Zone episodes about
give him a burn.
the murderous
Hold on,
dolls.
beat the wrong one.
Oh yeah, talking Tina, and I want to murder you.
Yeah, the Twilight
Oh no, it keeps going the wrong
Telly
one. You don't want to
Savalas,
burn, you want
yeah.
to burn. Oh no, J-Mac's not here and everything goes haywire. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
From Blue Skies All Around with +7 digs, In Good Company.
Wait, the Neil LaBute?
Yeah. No.
No.
That's.
Oh no, it comes with Topher Grace. That's what.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what Topher Grace.
Dennis Quaid, and where he's the young guy,
the young
he's a
buck
boss,
and,
and all that stuff.
I'll rent that. It's okay. It's
I
fine.
liked that a lot more when I saw it than when I saw it again.
Why would you see it twice if you didn't like it?
Because I liked it the first time, and I was like, I really like that movie, and I watched it again, and I was like, it's okay.
Right. I don't like Topher Grace. I just saw a film with Topher Grace that I can't mention because we'll talk about it in about 3 weeks. It comes out Take Me Home Tonight.
Wait, you already saw it?
Yes.
Then we'll talk about it next week. We got to be ahead of the game.
If you want. Well, actually, it's embargoed. Wait, should we talk about it?
Oh, we should definitely talk about it if it's embargoed.
Why not?
Fine.
We did it with Tron. Tron was embargoed, and we talked about it, and nobody came after us.
In Good Company, back to the subject at hand, I'm going to go with Rent as well. Yeah.
There it is. All right, next.
All right, from Mike Rotman's ex. I always get a little panic attack, like my heart,
Is the internet big enough for all of Mike Robbins' exes?
It doesn't say Mike Rotman's crazy ex, so therefore it's probably not one of my exes. While You Were Sleeping with +6 digs.
While You Were Sleeping. I like that movie.
You know what? It's fine. I'm going to say Rent. Look, if you have to watch a Sandra Bullock movie, I would say watch The Proposal.
You have to. If somebody forced you at gunpoint,
I don't know why you like
watch a Sandra Bullock movie.
I really like The Proposal. I think The Proposal is the one formula film that breaks formula. I think that's a lot of fun. But While You Were Sleeping, it doesn't date that well. It's okay.
Brent. It's a burn Rent. Brent.
Let's agree to disagree.
Emily, Brent it up.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, good.
You already did it. Moving on. Let's go to with 5 digs, Yes Man. And Shut Up Greg asks about that. Yes Man.
Jim Carrey film. I'm going to say Rent because it's got Zooey Deschanel in it, and Zoe is terrific. It's a little bit kind of on the like Jim Carrey's career kind of went like this, and then it's on this part of his career. But it's not great, but it's rent-worthy. It's got some fun moments.
Meh.
Is that a Brent? Is that
It's a Brent.
Let's agree to disagree.
All right, we'll take it. From Furry Bender, staying on the romantic comedies, all these are romantic comedies. Serendipity with 5 digs.
Oh boy, I haven't seen the movie forever with Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Right? Huh? I like that movie.
Yeah, I recall being okay.
By the way,
with
can I say something? Has anybody not seen a movie before like 1995? I mean,
That's
there's
what
so
you
many of
guys
these
are for.
romantic comedies. They're so great. You're like, how about Yes Man, where Jim Carrey talks out of his butt with Zooey Deschanel, blah. It's like there's so many great movies. What are you guys doing?
The Great Train Robbery.
Edwin S. Porter, The Great Train Robbery, 1902. It's a great romantic comedy.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
No, Serendipity.
It's you know what?
Burn.
It's a burn.
I'm going to say a burn on that.
Guys,
There are too many others that are good. Don't waste your time on that one.
Wow. Now we're just ragging on the OnlyFans we have.
Well, it's yeah, you know.
We have fans? Okay.
Not anymore. All right, moving on to City Guy 3156 with 2 digs. True Lies.
Good call.
It's a terrifically. It's a fun movie. Is that a romantic comedy?
I would call it that because it's based on a French film that was not an action film.
Anything that's based on a French film.
No, but
likes.
the French film is actually very, very clever. And Cameron took the French film, and this is one of those rare times that you will hear me say something really positive about Jim Cameron. So, hit record. But I thought he did a very good job of taking a very funny French romantic comedy farce and kind of wrapping a big, blustery, terrorism-themed action film around it. But it's still a romantic comedy.
You know what? I'll say bye because I like it a lot.
I say bye.
You know?
Yeah. And they say there's still going to be a sequel.
No, he's way over that. He's doing 17 Avatar sequels. All right, go.
And he was very nice to me and Corey on the shoot.
All right, don't name drop. Okay.
The next one from Mad Prophet of the Airwaves. These guys good names. Punch Drunk Love.
You know what? I saw that in Cannes in 2000, whatever it was,
Name dropper.
4, whatever. City Dropper, Festival Dropper.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
And I like that film.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I mean, I revere Paul Thomas Anderson.
It's
so.
P.T. It's one of those real edgy, risky P.T. Anderson films. I'm not sure I'd call it a romantic comedy, though. It's sort of, I mean, I said bye. In any case,
It's definitely a buy.
Definitely a buy. Probably the most daring performance Adam Sandler's ever given.
You're saying it wasn't a romantic comedy because there was no singing?
No,
no Nazis?
That's a cute Rodman. No, it's you know, it's almost got a tone all its own. It's a very odd, peculiar film, and you almost don't know if you should be laughing or if you should be shocked. So it really kind of toys with your emotions. I don't know. I'd call it a comedy. It's certainly an offbeat romance. But either way, bye.
All right, and one more from Egypt. Right
Go
now.
Cairo!
Go Cairo!
Cairo in the house!
There's protesting going on, and this guy's like, man, I'm going to watch Stupid for Movies. Live.
Yeah.
He's in the chat room right now.
Cairo in the house.
Rami Alam, Sid and Nancy.
It's not a comedy.
Maybe not to you.
But I'll say bye.
Well, just as a film, it's a guaranteed buy.
It's the last time, Alex Cox came out with Repo Girl on DVD, direct to DVD this last week. How far the mighty have fallen. Alex Cox used to be a really rock-solid filmmaker, and that's one of his best.
It is. You know what? Repo Man was great, and you know, this film here was great, and then I don't know what happened to him.
I don't either.
I think he was such an iconoclast. He like folded in on himself, and became like just this weird, crazy blubber of nothing that I don't know what the hell he's thinking anymore.
He's eccentric.
Yes, he is.
That he is.
And he makes movies that nobody wants to see, which means he's going to stop making movies very soon.
Sad.
Nobody's Ken Russell eccentric. Corey.
Ken Russell's crazy.
Ken Russell's crazy. All right, so here's the deal, folks. Those recommendations I got to tell you, except for Egypt, because we want you to stay safe and to be alive and get rid of that president, because screw that guy. What I'm saying is that the recommendations, you guys got to go back farther in time.
First, let's do this. And it was Byron to Burn. Let's go on a big note.
That was Byron to Burn.
Happy note. Then you can go off on the. Hold on, wait. No, it's still going. Woo! Yay!
And then what you got to do is you got to go farther. All right, so that was our big
Mark wants you to watch older movies.
Yes, watch older movies.
But that's why we exist. That's why this show exists. This show exists unlike any other show on the internet, unlike any other blogger show, unlike the new Ebert show. A lot of our segments recommend movies that you may have not seen that we feel are historically important.
Yes.
And that's the point of the show. That's how this show stands out from all other shows.
Yep.
That is true. So we gave you some great recommendations, guys. Go out and buy, go out and rent, go out and stream, because there's all sorts of great romantic comedies out there.
Yep.
Right, Wade?
Yep. You
all
bet.
right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.